Hello beautiful people. I wanted to drop a quick video on here today about social mindful awareness, which is the free social media detox process with a difference that has begun on social media of all places. So I'll link down below the video where I first discussed this and the idea of creating a social media detox with a difference. The whole process has been sort of coming to me, and I've been noting down how my own journey with social media has gone for the last few years. My own social mindful awareness process has been ongoing for maybe 3 or 4 years as I became aware of the sticky parts of social media that I found, and the benefits that I find from it, and how I've become aware more and more in this year, I think particularly, but in the last few years, of where people love social media but also hate it. And that is what it seems that there is, like a love-hate relationship that many people have with social media. And I think that it should, excuse the cat, I've just been watching her walk from the window round and was like, what's she gonna do? There is this like love-hate relationship that many people have with social media, and like a lot of things that people feel there is a bad thing or a negative or a unhealthy relationship gets built up with, like excuse me, scratching my new bed. There is many people, when they feel like they have this developed an unhealthy relationship with something, or that they believe something is unhealthy, there's a complete cut off of the thing. And what I found observing people, and from my own experience, I deactivated Facebook this year because I felt that I needed a break. And to me, the only way that I thought that I could have a break from social media was to deactivate it. That seemed like that's what everyone does, so I'll deactivate my Facebook. I lost a brand new Facebook page that I'd created for Indigo Sky Holistic, which fortunately I'd only had for about 3 months, so there wasn't masses of content on there. Most of my stuff goes on my public profile page, so I wasn't overly concerned, but it was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have deactivated. And what I found for myself, and what I notice in others, and what I hear other people saying, is they deactivate, and then it basically makes little to no difference to how much time they spend on it. And like when people find they're yo-yo dieting with food, they end up spending more time on it. Now, when it comes to things like food, and other addictive tendencies, I've developed this awareness that restriction of a thing makes you want it more, makes you crave it more. And my practices around intuitive eating have been like becoming aware that labeling things healthy and unhealthy make the unhealthy things more appealing. And my own experiences with life in general, it's always been the thing that's been like told you can't have is the thing you want most of all. And so when people restrict themselves from social media, they then come back to it because they feel like, right, okay, I've had a break now and I'm going to go back to it. And it has that lure to it that a chocolate cake has. So if you like chocolate cake, you know, whatever the thing is, pizza, whatever, it has that lure to it that you start, and then you realise you've missed you, because you do miss things. Like if you're not on, there is that opportunity to miss things. But one of the things about social media that it develops is this false belief that we have hundreds or even thousands of friends and connections. And there's this belief as well, if you are creating a livelihood that you use social media for, that you have to have the social media for the finding of clients or the finding of customers or the receiving of orders. And for me as well, that was a big thing for a long time. I was like, I have to have my social media. Like, I give up Facebook in an instant, but that's how I market my business. And it was, for years, I spent a long time networking on Facebook with my my little handmade business that I had before I started my holistic support services. Literally spent hours every day networking, and for little in return, other than lots of likes and comments on my page, which make you feel good, but you know, it's not buying the food and it's not paying the rent. So the whole concept and why it became named social mindful awareness was the more I began to bring my conscious awareness, my thoughts to how I showed up on social media, how I use social media, when I log into social media, what mood I'm in, what energy I've got, what I'm feeling and what I'm wanting to express, how that affects my energy when I show up there. If I'm in a mood, or if I'm feeling fed up, or if I'm feeling tired, or if there's something going on in my life that I've got that energy of aggravation, irritation, anger, frustration, that's how I then show up on social media. So if I've, like, something's annoyed me at home and then I go on social media and I see something that annoys me on social media, I'll like respond from that place of irritation, and then I come away from social media, or the other way around. It might be something that's annoyed me and irritated me on social media, and then I come and show up like that in my life. So that is the first thing, and the first step that we'll be looking at through is like how we show up, where we are right now with social media. And the whole purpose of this process is not to give it up altogether, although, hey, like, literally, the more I bring my awareness to how I show up on social media, the closer I am to letting it go and being okay with letting it go. And it's like, well, okay, so if my social media went down tomorrow, or if the whole of Meta went down tomorrow, Meta went down tomorrow, if the whole of the internet went down tomorrow, I'd actually live without it. Even as someone creating a livelihood on there, even as someone who shares my content on there, it's like, well, actually, you have to have other ways of doing that. You have to have other ways of showing up and marketing yourself. You can't ever keep all your eggs in one basket. You literally can't. So this is like a key aspect of it is what do we use it for? How do we show up? Bringing that mindful awareness into it, and then looking at where it drags us down, where it negatively impacts us, where it affects us emotionally. There will be some EFT brought into the process, because EFT can help you to settle the uncertainty. Maybe if you do depend really highly on it for your livelihood, for your income, maybe you have a Facebook shop, or you literally do find all your customers and clients through Facebook. That can bring up all those like feelings of like, well, I can't actually live without it. What do I do then? And that's where we then block ourselves from the opportunities of like the other ways where maybe what we do, that we market through social media, can be brought to the wider world. And that's, again, it's actually a limiting belief to think that you need only social media to market what you do. And letting go of that and being like, well, actually, how can I bring this to a wider audience through emails, through my own website, through all that? And it's like, it's a great place, but also as social media evolves, there are more platforms to choose from, and the younger generations, I know my teens are not interested in Facebook at all. So if you're looking to market to the next generation, they're not on Facebook. You're not gonna get like 18, 19, 20, 23-year-olds on Facebook. If you want to market to them, you're gonna have to look elsewhere. And maybe you don't right now, don't want to. Maybe you know that more the more millennials, the 30-somethings, the 40-somethings moving into middle age are your target audience. Maybe they always will be. But are people who are 20 now gonna just start using Facebook when they turn 30? Because I don't actually think they are. And that's why finding these other ways of interacting is key to being aware of the whole picture. And that's just that one aspect of social media if you're using it to market. If you're using it for connection, well, what did we do before social media? Like actual phone calls? Phone calls. Apparently there's a difference depending on how old you are. Anyway, phone calls, messages, text messages, emails, dare I say letters? There are other ways to stay in contact with real life people that you know. And for me, that's been a big part of it, is actually realising that I prefer to catch up with people individually than be like scrolling through social media to see, what they're sharing. To actually drop someone a message and go, how's it going? And get a response rather than get the social media washed version where they might be like sharing all the good bits and you know that there's stickiness going on for them, which is another catch of social media. And then there's the comparisonitis for ourselves if we're having a shit time and then it's like everyone else having a great time, or we see someone share a post where they're maybe having a worse time than we feel we're having, and we're like, oh my god, well I feel shit about my life because it's like this, but oh my god, their house just burnt down. It just brings that energy right down, and you're entitled, if you're having like a tough time, to feel as bad as someone whose house just burnt down. We're all entitled to feel how we feel in a moment, no matter the circumstances. So that's really where the mindful awareness is coming in. That's the key point. And then looking at self-forgiveness for slipping up if we do have a bad day. For me, with regards to all the different aspects of my life that I've brought mindful awareness to, when I have a bad day, one of the key components to not making that bad day turn into a bad week or a bad month or a bad year is it's one moment, it's one day, it's one time. And what was going on for me that made that feel like it was such a low point in time for me? It might be that something happened in that day. It might be that something just for yourself was off. It might be like the energy of the planets or the sun, the solar flares. It could be any of those things that make you just be like, that was why I had that bad day, and that isn't the end of it. So if you suddenly have gone down to spending an hour a day on social media, and one day you have like 4 hours on and 5 hours on, and you're like, oh, all I've done today is be on social media, that's it, I'm back to square one, which is where the tricky side of deactivating comes, because you're suddenly like, oh, what have I missed while I was off? Is that aspect of, now I've spent like 7 hours on there, that's it, all the days that I went without I've undone because I just spent 7 hours on there. And you haven't, unless you then go, right, well I've ruined it all, then I've got to go back and spend 7 hours on it every day for the next, until I deactivate again. And that is where the restriction side of any anything that you are trying to create a healthier relationship with causes us to slip back into unhealthy practices and unhealthy habits. So what I want for people from this is to develop this healthy relationship with social media, where when you go on in a good feeling place, and then you get and give the best to whatever it is. And this, I'm hosting this event on social media, on Facebook, because that's somewhere I hang out. I've been on there since 2007, 2008. But it can also, the principles of it, and I'm hosting it on Facebook because that's where I can have a group and I can host it live and I can do video streams and I can interact with people. The video streams stay and I can download them, and it cannot, but then it can, the principles of it, I think, probably, most likely, could then be used whatever your social media catch is. I don't like the word addiction. I think it's a very sticky word, and it brings up straight away for people specific ideas of what addiction is, and that's a whole other, like, a whole other place to go another time about what's going on in the brain. Maybe we will touch on it, what's going on in the brain that creates addictive tendencies. Well, I don't think if you have addictive tendencies, I don't think that has to be the end of it. I'd say I have addictive tendencies, I'm an addict for the rest of my life. I don't think that's just a lie that we've been told to sell medication that helps people heal from addiction or mask addiction. There's always something underlying that causes an addiction, and that is probably something that we'll go into, most likely, because most of us, when we do find ourselves caught in social media traps, doom scrolling, it's because we're covering up those things that we're masking and not wanting to face in the real world around us. So that's what I want, is people to develop a healthy relationship, to not have to give it up altogether, unless you get to the point where, like, actually, I don't want it at all. I don't need it at all. My life is so much better without it, and I'm not missing. So that key thing is to know that you're not missing anything. When I gave up alcohol, I didn't intend to. I didn't reduce it. I didn't slow it down, and I didn't go teetotal or cut it out or anything. I literally just went from drinking to not drinking because I no longer wanted it and needed it in my life. And I don't consider myself teetotal. I if I'm out for a meal and I want a glass of wine, I'll have a glass of wine. I would say 9 times out of 10 I don't. 9 times out of 10 when I go out, I don't drink. When I've been out on a night out, I had 2.5 pints, and normally I would have probably got a little bit hammered when, you know, I'm a mum. Nights out are very few and far between. So normally I would go a little bit nuts. And because I was like consciously thinking, do I want this? Do I want another pint now? Yeah, I'll have another pint. No, and the last drink that I had, I only had half a pint rather than a full pint, because it was like, yeah, actually I would like a little bit more. If it's something I'm enjoying and want to be drinking, then, but there was no need for any more than that. And that's where I'd like to see people get into with this, is I don't need to spend more than an hour on. And in that hour, I can have done everything that I want to do. It might be longer if you're watching a live stream or if you're interacting in something that you're creating. So I actually expect my social media time in the next few weeks to increase, but that will be because I'm specifically being of service to people and supporting people and helping people, and not because I'm doom scrolling. And that's the crux of the matter. If you do use your social media for supporting and guiding and helping people, then obviously you're going to spend more time on it. But it's going in there even then with that embodied energy of somebody who's going in for the greater good of themselves and everyone else, because otherwise we can get caught up in that angsty energy, if there's angsty energy there, and then knowing like, well, hold on a minute, I'm not in the best place right now, or shit, that was really crappy what I've just read, I'm going to step back away from that now and go for a walk, or we'll be looking at ways that we can use our energy to find different things to do with whatever it is that catches us in the doom scroll. So there we go. Starting with the full moon, 28th of October. Probably already used that. And I will see you in the Facebook group, or sign up for free on the website. You get the content. This will be a paid process early next year when it's all on the website and it's all been got off Facebook. The Facebook group isn't going to be there past January of 2024. So from then it will be paid process. It'll be £111. So you want to get in there now while it's free. And just know that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. With Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or X or whatever the fuck it's called now. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can have a healthy, mindful, conscious relationship with any of your social media platforms or anything else in your life that you may have previously felt you were caught in a trap with. So I look forward to seeing you there in the group, and I will be in there sometime on the 28th of October with a live stream to welcome you to phase 1. I'll speak to you again soon. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and you'll be finding more of this support and guidance and interfering cats, I'm sure, in the coming weeks and months here on YouTube. Take care, and I'll see you soon.